move into the Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, second trailer. Wow. I'll let you go first, but I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm sure you do as well. What did you think?
Well, I thought the trailer was. I thought it was really strong. The Kang stuff was good. Ant Man was good. Um, that was really. The trailer didn't wow me like I think it wowed a lot of people. I'm really interested to see Kang most of all. But like other than that, I think it was really good.
Okay, that's so. I gotta ask. When you say this trailer didn't wow you as much, do you think it's? Do you think that people maybe set their expectations too high for this film? Is that a big
Excuse
thing? Do
me.
you think? Do you think people like are setting their
I'm sorry, I
expectations
can't
too
hear you.
high
What
for
did you
this?
say?
Oh no, I think he's cutting out. Are you cutting out?
Expect
Okay,
yeah, a little bit. Okay, that's good now. Expectations are
okay.
too high. I think a little bit. Yeah,
You
I
think
think.
so?
For me, I just feel like a lot of hype is building on Kang. I think like I don't think people are as interested in Ant Man for this as they are as Kang.
Okay, that's. I mean, that's the way I am with it. Uh, because I am a huge Kane the Conqueror fan. Um, ever since Jonathan Majors was announced as the main
Mhm.
villain moving forward, I've been really excited for what the future holds for him as a character. I think Jonathan Majors is fantastic, and everything I've seen him in, he's been great. Um, I gotta see him in Devotion. I gotta see him in that new film Devotion, and then he's also gonna be in Creed 3. He's gonna play the main villain of that. He's just killing it right now, and his performance as He Who Remains was I thought was fantastic. Uh, terrified and at the same time yet was goofy. It fit with the show so well. And from the trailer, what I really appreciate so much about Kane was that they just made him like a conqueror. They made him ruthless. Obviously, the big thing with Kane in the comics is he's a time travel villain. He's a multiversal villain. You don't a lot of times you don't feel like the physical prowess of Kane. It's something you feel with Thanos. Like even Thanos without the Infinity Stones is incredibly strong, physically strong. And what I loved about this trailer was like they showed that yeah, damn, Kane can throw hands too. Like he literally he did not have to drop kick Ant Man like that. That was personal. He did not have to
Yeah.
do it like that. So I was just asking, um, what do you like? What direction do you want Kane to be taken in? And do you like what this trailer kind of did for the character? And what do you think he's going to go through this movie and beyond that?
Well, I like the direction they're going. Like, so they're going with Kang. I like how he feels different from He Who Remains. I was worried too. Like you're going to need like a lot of range to play the character. I think Jonathan Major's doing really good with that. He does not feel like He Who Remains at all. It's just like they look alike. In the direction I want to take him, honestly, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with Kang. Like, I hope they don't do another MacGuffin thing, like with the Infinity Stones. They need to collect something, to, before he collects it. I think I just want to see Kang just like whoop the Avengers' ass. Like, there's just nothing they could do about it. It's just Kang is just on top. He just has control the whole time. That's kind of just what I want to see. I just want to see an unstoppable force.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. So obviously in this film, this is going to have a lot seemingly to do with Kane most likely wanting to get out of the quantum realm, most likely needing Scott to help him out. Um, and it's funny because Kane's like ship is like the figure has the figurement of the Ten Rings, right?
Hmm.
The thing we see Ant Man trying to go up to get has like the same color and the same movement as the Ten Rings. Do you think there's any connection? Obviously, in Shang-Chi, the end of the film, there's a signal being sent from the rings. What do you think there's any like correlation at all? Do you think there's anything that we have seen in phase four um, that's really going to connect heavy with this and what Kane's trying to do with time travel?
I do think the rings are connected. I don't know in what way. They said too in Shang-Chi the rings are cosmic. So I don't know if the quantum realm is considered cosmic. I mean, it sure looks cosmic. Like I don't know if it'd be considered cosmic, but like it has like the exact same markings as the Shang-Chi rings. And you didn't watch Miss Marvel, right?
I did watch Miss Marvel, yeah, but the bangle, right? Yeah.
But yeah, her bangle too is also like something that's similar to the Ten Rings. Like they found the bangle in a Ten Rings, I don't know, complex or building or something like that when they first found it. So that could also
Right.
be as well.
Right, yeah, I 100% agree. You know, I don't know exactly what Kane is trying. Well, I think obviously he's trying to conquer the multiverse, and he needs help from Ant Man. Um, but I'm not like 100% positive, like what the why the Ten Reigns would send a signal. I don't know if that's a thing. Like when Kane leaves the quantum realm, that it sends a signal that he's gone. I
Or
don't know. I'm not.
it could be that like whatever Emma is doing with like the thing that we see, like the bright light and like him trying to climb up to that light we see is sending the signal to the Ten Rings.
Okay.
Like those
Okay.
things happen like at the same time or around the same time.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense because they talk about how time is different in the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you your thoughts on this. What do you think? Because as I watched the trailer and thought about it, what do you think about Kane's first like big appearance in the MCU being in an Ant Man film? What do you think about that?
I don't have anything wrong with it. If anything, I want him to appear in more projects to like, because we feel like, that he's always around and that like, he's that we can't get away from him and that everybody's like, afraid of him. Like I like how like in every MCU project, he just like, does something that like impacts the hero. And so like the heroes could have a personal connection. Cause I think the one thing with Thanos, the one con I have with Thanos is that there's no connection to the heroes. If King appears and does all these things to all these different heroes, they could establish like a personal connection or something like whether that's revenge, they want justice for what Kang did, like whatever. Just like to have a connection, like personal connection with Kang would feel so much more, especially with how rushed this phase is. If we feel like a connection between the hero and the villain, it's gonna make up with us not growing. I think with the hero and the villain like we did in phase 1 through 3.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point because in phases in the Infinity Saga, we had more time with these characters and we had less characters to deal with, and they each got their individual moments to shine. I 100% agree with that. I think the reason I've kind of came to love the idea of Kane being an Ant Man film is because Ant Man like is the perfect hero for him to come to, right? Because Scott has lost so much time, right? Time in the quantum realm, time away from his daughter, like time being a superhero, time in prison, all of that. His last like decade or so of life has just been, or plus that, has just been time away from his daughter. And he knows like the rules of time travel, right? Of Avengers Endgame, or like if you go back in time, you create a branch timeline. You can't like go back and go back to that exact same moment and change. You'd like events will change if you go back in time. So to make Kane unique and make him that multiversal time travel threat that he is in the comics and animated shows, Kane's going to have to offer him a time travel that allows Scott to go back in time with the daughter he has now and relive those whole events without affecting the past. And I think Kane can do that as long as he has this. And I believe in like leaks and stuff, this device that Scott's going after is called the Quantum Nexus, which is like a mixture of things from the comics. Uh, where I think Kane is truly offering like Scott the chance to go back in time to live this life of peace where he could even possibly warn those Avengers about Thanos and stop a lot of death on Earth before the events of Infinity War and Endgame. So I want to hear like what your thoughts are on like that idea of, because we know a little bit about time travel in the MCU, and if and Kane has to offer something impactful to Scott, what do you think like Kane's sense of time travel is? Because he's already said in trailers, "I have killed Avengers." Um, so like, what do you think? How do you think Kane's time travel operates that differs from what we know in the Infinity Saga?
Uh, I think what could work. So we know that like you can mess up a timeline by like going back in time and influencing something. So Kang could have the ability to not affect anything. Like just everything just goes like it's normal, but like with slightly different changed events. How like but if in the Avengers I said if you do something, you mess something up, that timeline's getting erased. Like you destroyed the timeline. So Kang, like maybe with his version of time travel or this version of time travel that he's using, it stops like a complete like universe collapse to where it could just things can just flow and keep going. I feel like that would be kind of interesting if they tried to do that. So like there's like no consequences, and that's what he's offering Ant-Man because Ant-Man knows, and Iron Man and Cap told him, "Oh yeah, we can't do anything because we can't mess anything up, or these universes are going to be destroyed." So he knows that that can't happen. So maybe that's what Kang's proposing to Ant-Man.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's a really really interesting and compelling idea for the character. Um, I guess we could go into Modoc now. It was gonna be played by Corey Stoll again. It's gonna be like a shrunk down yellow jacket, I guess you could say. Some people were complaining about the design. I mean, it's supposed to look weird. So I want to get your thoughts on Modoc in this trailer and his design and all of that. What do you think of Modoc?
He looks pretty good. I prefer the mask on than the mask off because I don't want to be staring at that ugly thing like 90% of the time. But then again, Modoc's supposed to look ugly, so they're doing something right. I don't think he looks good. If I think he looks disgusting, but I think the
Right,
design, everything he looks. People are saying he looks comics accurate. He looks pretty like on point, like without him looking like a total goofball for him to be comics accurate. Like people want like this like head that's like the size of his torso. It's like this big, this wide, and like little tiny legs. If you that's gonna look even worse than it looks now. Like even more disgusting. Like if that's what people want. That's what people want. But I think it looks good though for the most part.
yeah. What do you think? His role is going to be in this film. What do you think? What's up
I
with
think
him?
I think he's gonna have the kind of what I call like the side villain treatments, like the Shocker treatment in Spider-Man: Homecoming. I forgot that one dude's name in Thor, the Dark World. Not Thor, Dark World, Thor Ragnarok. That one dude who's played by the guy who plays Butcher. Just like that side villain that like kind of does some stuff, gets in the way, but like after he just kind of just
Right,
you know he takes up time, so like you're not too tired of the main villain, but like we're here to see Kang, not Modok.
right. That is true, and it's weird because Modoc in like video games and stuff is like an Avengers level threat.
Yeah.
Um, so I gotta ask, also, or I'll give my thoughts and then I'll ask. But weird to me, like the Pims, even Cassie and Hope were all like very absent in this film, and I don't mind that because it is an Ant Man film. I know it's Ant Man the Wasp, but it's mainly like an Ant Man franchise. Uh, this film's got to have a big focus on Scott. Um, do you think they're going to be as absent in the trailer as absent in the film as they kind of were in the trailer? And like, where do you see like those four characters go? Because this trailer heavily focused on Scott and what decisions he is going to have to make.
Yeah, I feel like too they showed a lot in this trailer. Like I feel like they showed a little too much. Like I know a lot of people online are like, "Oh, this is like I'm starting to see the plot at this point." But I would know I was like, "This is an Ant Man movie, not an Ant Man and the Wasp movie." From what I'm seeing, it looks like Cassie's just here for them to get into the quantum realm, and Wasp is just here to be like the nice supporting character. I'm like, wow, this is very Ant Man and Kang centric, and maybe they're just doing that to sell the film because like they know. Apparently, they did research for this movie where they added more Kang because there wasn't enough Kang in the movie.
Right.
And I think maybe they're just trying to like build off the hype of Kang and everything in Ant Man because he's the main character and he probably Kang's gonna interact with the main character for the most part. But I was like that too. I was like, where is everybody else?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It's very.
not
Yeah.
even
Go ahead.
fighting Kang in that like last thing where he like curb stomps Ant Man's head. Like Wasp isn't either. Like during that big fight, it's like, oh, is she like going to help with something else? Like where's she at?
Yeah. Yeah. It was very odd. It just seems like they're gonna be separate during the film. It makes sense. It's kind of like what I also love about Kane, it's like he's also seems to be a master like manipulator. He's very manipulative in his tactics. Obviously, him as he who remains, trying to manipulate Loki and Sylvie, like egging them on to kill him because he knows the ramifications if he's killed. Um, and Sylvie takes the bait.
I mean,
And
I feel they said they show a little too much. Like we know now that Kang betrays him. Yeah, you maybe could have seen that twist coming, but like it would have been nice to know that obviously he doesn't betray him.
right, right, and it's gonna be a common thread, I think, with the character, right? Because the character can offer so much for these characters who have lost time. Be really interested too if he runs into Wanda, because that's a character like who's
Um,
very powerful. that he could utilize. Because when I think about, and we can talk now about the future, because this film's tagline is a start of a new dynasty or something like that. Obviously, we have the Kane dynasty and Secret Wars. Um, I think Kane's a very powerful villain as it is, but I've been thinking about since we knew he was going to be the villain, how do you make this guy like a threat to all of the heroes we have? And I think a big thing for him would be he has to have somebody by his side or somebody else. And this is a common thing with like Kane and like comics is like he has a son, like there's weird comics with Kane and with helpers. I think somebody big would be somebody like Wanda. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Kane like needs help to like take down just our own team of the Avengers? And then when we get to Secret Wars, probably like the multiversal Avengers with Tobey Maguire, with Hugh Jackman, with insert any character from any franchise we've gotten with Marvel the past 20 or so years. Like what do you think? Where do you think Kane goes, I guess, after this film? How do you think this film ends for Kane, and how do you think this leads right into the Kane dynasty?
How I think this ends, I think Kang kills Kang. I think a more powerful Kang variant kills Kang.
Okay.
I think
That's interesting.
I think that because like in that situation, like Ant-Man doesn't win. He's losing to this original Kang and everything. He's like, I don't have to win. I just need you to lose. But then the thing
Right.
is, both lose, like he says in the trailer. But this is just a win for another Kang because we already know there's going to be more than one Kang. That he's like, they said this in Loki, like, my variants, not just my variant. So I don't think this Kang that we saw in the trailer is making out this movie. I think he's going to get killed by a more powerful Kang. And I feel like in the future, it's just going to be Kang on Kangs. Like it's just going to be some multiple. They can help out each other, maybe trying to manipulate each other. And I feel like that'd be very interesting. Interesting for different Kangs to be just trying to do different things. Like one Kang can be trying to control this side of the universe, while this one's trying to control the other. The Avengers are trying to stop, like this first Kang, but this other Kang is after the Kang that the Avengers are facing. So it'd just be nice to see
Okay.
things around. I feel like that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. It would like tie all the way back to what the TVA and what Loki says about that first multiversal war, where it's just like a bunch of Kanes that meet together and then they fight for supremacy, and he who remains ultimately ends up as the victor.
Yeah, and he
Um,
in the it's a loop. It's all a loop. So all that's gonna happen again. So the Kangs are all gonna fight again.
right. Yeah, I believe like Loki literally told us how it's all gonna end. Like he who remains will be back controlling the timeline, and it would just be a little bit different, I think. It might be not exactly the same. Uh, I think it's just gonna be slightly altered, but I think ultimately by the end we'll be back at square one. He who remains will be in control.
I don't
Um,
think he who remains. I think it's gonna be an Avenger. I think it's gonna be like a big sacrifice moment for an Avenger, and they're gonna actually be stuck at the controlling the timeline. I think
yeah,
like a big like Tony Stark sacrifice. Somebody's gonna have to do that.
that would be really interesting. Yeah, them realizing that they can't have because he remains could be like, hey, I want to run it, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, no, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, all we've
We're
been seeing
sedative. Yeah.
so
Oh,
I
go ahead. Were you gonna? Oh, go ahead.
no, you can go. Sorry.
No, 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 no. Go, go.
Uh, so yeah, no, I think it's just gonna be just like they're gonna be like, yeah, you've just all you've been doing is fighting yourself in this, that, and the third. We can't we don't trust you doing this all over because this cycle's just gonna continue. So maybe if we insert one of us into this situation, this won't happen ever again.
Yeah, yeah. I 100% agree that I think my ending is a little bit different. I could see that. I actually like that a lot better. But I see it as this Kane is going to manipulate our Ant Man so much that Ant Man thinks that this Kane lost. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, with Kane getting the signal out with the reins, I think they're going to accidentally free Kane without them knowing it. Um, and Ant Man's going to stay trapped in the quantum realm and probably die. I think. I think this might be it for Scott Lane. But I definitely do think, besides maybe Cassie, I think the rest of them die as well. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I think they're done for on this film. I think it would be poet. I think it would be like it's time. Like we already have too many characters. I feel like the
Mm-hmm.
Pims they've served their story. They've had their story. I feel like if they to help Ant Man sacrifice, they also sacrifice their life for Cassie's future. because this whole like Ant-Man trilogy has kind of been about his daughter, him having a relationship with his daughter, him doing the best he can for his daughter, and that father-daughter relationship, and them all coming together to help Cassie and ultimately making their own sacrifices. I think would be very poetic and make a lot of sense for the end of the trilogy. But I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think they kill off the Pims, or what do you think happens with them?
I think Hank is done. Janet, I would feel bad if she died because like we just got Janet. Like she was in like 10 minutes of the last movie, and now she's in this one, which I feel
Right,
bad. She's not gonna be in this one either, and I like the actress too who plays her. Ant Man, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like he's not gonna die because of the trailer. I feel like the trailer just showed up like, oh, is he gonna die? It's like, oh no, now you're teasing it too much to where I don't think he's gonna die. And plus, I don't think any Avenger has died in their third installment of a movie. I think he gets trapped maybe somewhere and he has to be freed later on and he'll be like, gone for a little bit. But I don't see him dying just because I feel like the trailer's trying to play it up too much. And it's just like, you wouldn't be advertising that this guy dies. The Guardians trailer did it smarter, where it's like, we know someone's gonna die, but
right.
who? This one is just, oh guys, is he gonna die? This one guy, who? It's like, I don't know anymore. Before the trailer, I definitely thought he was gone, but now I'm just like,
Okay, okay, yeah, I get that for sure. So do you think Hank and Hope make it out, or
Hank's 100% dead. His wife,
okay,
like 50-50. Hope's fine. She's got like another movie or two left in her.
okay? I think that's fair. And do you think like Hope and Cassie like escape, but Ant-Man and Kane get stuck?
Yeah, so what I think was a likely scenario if Kang doesn't kill Kang. I feel like Kang and Ant-Man get stuck, and this beacon that they're sending is maybe Kang trying to communicate so he can get out. And it could be like, Shang-Chi 2 could be Wong, Shang-Chi, or like, the next Avengers movie, Secret Wars could start with them going to the spot, accidentally freeing Kang, and that's how like, it starts and everything. And like, now that he's in there, he has this, wish there was a quantum nexus.
Yes, yeah,
This
that's what it's
quantum
described in the leaks. Yeah.
Yeah, so he has his quantum nexus that he was looking for. He escapes from the Avengers, and that's how Kang Dynasty starts. That could be what happens. So that's why I think it's another possible scenario. How like hoping
Okay.
his daughter get out, but Ant Man gets trapped.
Uh, I guess overall for me, I would say a very, very good trailer. Like one of the better, I think, like multiversal saga trailers for me,
Mm-hmm.
to get me excited for a project. Like this is the most excited I've been for a project since probably No Way Home. I mean, I was excited for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, but I think obviously Kane. Uh, I've been super excited for Jonathan Majors, like I said earlier, and the character of Kane. I think he's got the potential to be the best comic book villain of all time. I know that's like the huge shoes to fill, but I think Jonathan Majors could do it. I think this trailer also looks visually stunning. I think there's something like really interesting about how like the quantum realm is so small scale, but we're gonna see these big like high stakes battles in such like a minuscule um like tech context, right? Because quantum realm is like extremely tiny.
Yeah.
That's a really cool dichotomy, and just like visually, it looks better than a lot of MCU films that we've gotten recently. And yeah, that's a big thing for me. I want to hear, I guess, before we wrap up, what are your like overall thoughts on the trailer?
It was a good trailer. It was really stunning. I just think they showed too much. I feel like I have a kind of thing on how they're gonna wrap up with like them both losing and either like say Kang kills Kang or they get stuck somewhere. But I do feel like it showed a little too much, other than like what's gonna happen with like Bill Murray's character in this one city that they're going to. But other than that, it's just like, oh, Cassie, he wants more time because he sees that Cassie is like mimicking his life, going to jail. He doesn't want this for her. He feels like if he accepts Kang's offer, what's it called? It'll be able to fix the mistakes of him not being there. Cassie gets him stuck in the quantum realm, like I said, does this for Kang. Kang betrays him. It's like that's just like the plot that I'm getting from movies. Like I feel like I just predicted Act 1 and Act 2.